What happens when two amazing players come together in a team? It looks like the Mavericks are having a tough time dealing with this. The Mavs have now won 7 straight games, with one of these victories coming against the 2-seeder Thunder. You can blame a lot of things, such as the addition of PJ Washington or Daniel Gafford, but we believe that the main reason is how both Luka and Kyrie have been playing since they first teamed up. Critics were vocal about the team's need for the ball to succeed at this point, but we're seeing how much offensive synergy they have and how Dallas will cause serious nightmares for playoff defenses. Throughout Luka's whole career, the Mavs have played a slow game. To take advantage of Kyrie's skill set in the first half, they run a decent amount of set action for him. This time, it's a quick give and go with Luka up top to get him running downhill, where he typically displays his unmatched touch as a finisher. This is the first time in Luka's career that his team has been above the league average in pace, and that's not just because Kyrie takes it to the house himself. The Mavs' half-court game consists of plenty of ball screens and spread pick and rolls where he's a threat to turn the cover on a drive. As a defense, you definitely don't want him getting downhill, so you sort of have to throw aggressive coverages to keep him away from the paint. However, it's these corner pin-down screens that allow him to curl toward the ball and attack on the move with a little bump and floater. As we all know though, their offense is extremely Luka-centric, which is only natural when you have one of the best on-ball creators in NBA history who will counter as a playmaker by dissecting any rotations. At this point, Jason Kidd and the coaching staff needed to figure out how to get the most out of Kyrie while Luka was in charge. Many times, it's just a matter of positioning him in the weak side corner because they know Luka can make the trick pass every time and that he's a far too good shooter to ignore. Even when it seems like Kyrie isn't playing, Luka's presence as a floor spacer is felt on almost every possession as he sets up the action and Dwight Powell gets open. Vincenzo should be the one sliding down to tag him. Though Kyrie is a really smart player without the ball and knows when to cut, Dwight has to respect Kyrie in that corner because otherwise he'll be slow to rotate when Dwight gets the ball and it'll be an easy 2. In another example, when Luka is blitzed and the defense looks to be loading up on him, Kyrie dives baseline and gets above the rim for a lob. Kyrie effortlessly glides down the lane, collapsing the opposite corner, and with an easy additional pass, the Mavs have a wide open triple. Another way the Mavs do to weaponize Kyrie is to really use him as a screener, which leads to a host of other issues. That's not the ideal idea, as you're giving Kyrie an opportunity to attack if the defender chooses to run their standard blitz or hedge. Here's another example of that same game. Luka turned the corner and worked his way to the paint, rotating the entire defense. A guard is screening, but it's very difficult to keep Luka from touching the paint. You can see Blake Wesley getting ready to meet him early, which means that if he rejects it, nobody will be able to stop him from getting all the way to the rim. Defenses essentially have to execute a show flawlessly and recover to not give up any advantages. Luka screens for Kyrie when the Mavs want him to look for favorable switches. Once he finds one, he sets up in the mid-post for an isolation. This time, he draws a foul. On the very next possession, they go to it again, and this time, Luka gets the switch set up with Kyrie just one pass away. The two play a little game of hot potato until Luka eventually draws a double, leaving the sharpshooter on an island when Kyrie is just one pass away from Luka. This really forces the defense to pick their poison. You don't want to leave Grayson Allen in single coverage, but when Booker closes the game, it creates a closeout that's too long for Luka to recover from. Instead, Luka will set up on an open side of the court for isolations, and if the second defender considers offering assistance, it's transferred to Kyrie, who's likely to knock down those 3. This presents a problem for the defense. Kyrie is hitting slightly under 47% on catch-and-shoot three-pointers, which translates to 1.40 points per possession, while Luka is averaging 1.09 points per possession as an isolation scorer. In other words, neither is a wise decision because the NBA's best half-court offense averages 1.1 points per possession. Ultimately, defenses resort to bringing extra defenders from various areas of the court. He can be a screener to produce matchup issues, but what happens if he's the one in charge of the offense? You'll notice that there are some set players thrown in there as well. This time, Luka is the second screener in a Spain pick and roll and pops to the wing where he finds some room to fire off a three of his own. Luka's most valuable asset away from the ball, though, is his ability to space the floor by simply existing. We've already talked about how they'll use Luka as a screener that isn't only for switches. Kyrie can use the space to attack a lane himself. Every time Kyrie goes to work, he attacks the middle of the floor and there's no help, so with all that space, we're not sure how you're supposed to guard this. Normally, you'd expect some sort of resistance at the nail when Kyrie comes off his handoff, but M. Bridges is too worried about hugging Luka on the perimeter, so there's a lane to attack down the middle as he gets to the rim. It's not that important. On the court, Luka's guy will essentially always remain where he is, glued with him deep on that wing. Kyrie really only needs to defeat one man, and he has no issue doing so. The offense is essentially playing 4-on-4 this time, since Luka is actually all the way out in half court, and this man is attached to him like superglue. In order to counter the second defender that Kyrie draws, he kicks the ball out to Josh Green for a corner three. Being one of the most skilled scorers in NBA history, Kyrie almost has an open gym to work with when he plays alongside Luka, which will result in plenty of excellent offense. Over the past 2 seasons, Kyrie's isolations have increased significantly to 1.17 points per possession, demonstrating how difficult it is to game plan for this duo. Obviously, you don't want Kyrie to get buckets, but as soon as help arrives, you're going to have to leave Luka. It's a matter of choosing your poison, as he's attempting a career-high 2 catch-and-shoot threes per game, which may not seem like much in other seasons, but it's a notable increase in volume, and he's making 41.5% of them. That production is quite good. That being said, after taking the ball away from Luka and giving him a lane to attack, defenses are particularly concerned about letting him grab the ball and attack because, to quickly summarize, you're back to dealing with his driver game. The Mavericks continue to use a lot of Luka, but they've discovered ways to turn Kyrie into an off-ball weapon. Whether it's by setting him up in the weak side corner, pushing him deep on the wing, or using him as a screener, Kyrie either screens the ball or creates a ton of space for himself when it's in its hands. Add a few tactical elements like playing at a faster pace or using set plays in the half court, and no matter which 3 players are on the floor at the same time, you have an unstoppable offense. 7 offensive ratings in 700 minutes together this season. The two can play together at their best when the Mavs are leading and trailing, but everything else is a stagger. When Luka enters the game without Kyrie, you get the traditional heliocentric hoop spread pick and roll open side isolations. He controls the action and engages everyone, and when Kyrie enters the game alone, he bears a heavier load. One of Kyrie's most intriguing traits as a player is his versatility. In the few games he's played with Luka this season, he's been a top-tier number 2, averaging 25 points with above-average efficiency while avoiding turnovers. And that's all for now. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video and found it entertaining, then don't forget to hit that like button below. And if you want to stay updated with more great content like this going forward, please be sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking that red button and just ringing the notification bell so you never miss any future content from us. Your support means the world to us.